You know, one of the biggest misconceptions people carry around is this idea that if you put yourself first, you're selfish, that if you say no, or if you decide to choose your own peace over someone else's expectations, somehow you're the bad guy. And I want to challenge that idea right now, because that way of thinking is not only wrong, it's dangerous. It leads to a life where you're constantly drained, constantly exhausted, constantly pouring into everybody else's cup while your own stays empty. Now let me ask you this. How long do you think you can go like that? How long can you run a car without gas? How long can you keep swiping a credit card that's maxed out? Eventually, you collapse. Eventually, you burn out. And here's the kicker: when you collapse, when you have nothing left, the same people you were breaking yourself for, they can't help you the way you help them. So where does that leave you? See, here's the truth. Taking care of yourself first is not selfish. It's survival. It's wisdom. It's responsibility. And it's the foundation for being able to give at a higher level. You can't give love if you don't have it within yourself. You can't offer peace if your own soul is in chaos. You can't lead people to success if your own life is drowning in neglect. I'll tell you something else. When you live your life always trying to make sure everybody else is okay before you even check in with yourself, what you're really doing is training the world to expect your sacrifice as normal. You're teaching people that your time, your energy, your well-being are negotiable. And once you set that standard, notice nobody else is going to stop and say, hey, don't you need a break? They'll just keep taking, because that's what people do. And then, think about it from a psychological perspective. Human beings are wired to adapt to patterns. If you consistently put yourself last, your brain normalizes that behavior. It stops resisting it. And over time, you start to believe that you don't deserve rest. You don't deserve joy. You don't deserve boundaries. That's how people up trapped in cycles of resentment, depression, and burnout. Not, but because they don't care about themselves, but because they never gave themselves permission to care in the first place. Now let's flip it. Imagine a different picture. Imagine a person who wakes up every day and says, before I give anything to the world, I'm going to give to myself. Before I answer the phone, before I take on other people's problems, before I say yes to commit that drain me, I'm going to make sure my cup is full. That person has energy. That person has clarity. That person can actually show up for others without losing themselves in the process. Usually the weakest. Philosophers have talked about this for centuries. The Greek philosopher Aristotle said, the highest form of friendship is wishing good for another for the sake of that other. But here's the catch. You can't truly wish good for another if you're in pieces yourself. Love without strength is just dependency. Service without stability is just martyrdom. The only way your giving has power is if it comes from a place of wholeness. And that's why priority isn't selfish. It's the only path to authentic giving. When you feed yourself first, your mind, your body, your spirit, you create overflow. And overflow is the only sustainable way to pour into the people around you. I remember once hearing this said on a plane. The flight attendant goes, "In the event of an emergency, put on your own oxygen mask before assisting others." That's not just airplane talk. That's life. Because if you pass out trying to save everyone else, nobody gets saved. And too many people in this world are passing out every single day, suffocating under the weight everybody else's expectations, because they forgot to secure their own oxygen first. So I want you to sit with this weakest. Think about how many times you said yes when your whole soul was screaming no. Think about how many nights you stayed up worrying about problems that weren't even yours to fix. Think about how many pieces of yourself you gave away without ever asking, "Do I even have enough left for me?" And now, I want you to ask a new question. What would it look like if I started putting myself first unapologetically? What if, for once, I said, "I matter. My dreams matter. My peace matters. My health matters." Because when you shift into that mindset, something powerful happens. You stop begging people to value you. Because you finally value yourself. So don't let anybody trick you into thinking that self-priority is selfishness. Don't let anybody guilt you for taking care of your mind, your body, your spirit. You don't owe anyone an apology for choosing yourself. Because the truth is simple. When you are full, when you are strong, when you are whole, that's when you can give your best to others. And here's the line I want you to take with you tonight. If you don't choose you, nobody else will. And if you don't take care of you, you won't be here long enough to take care of anyone else. You know, after you understand that putting yourself first is not selfish, the next is this: you got to protect your peace and your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. See, peace is not something the world is going to hand you. Energy is not something people are going to protect for you. If you don't guard those things, the world will drain you until there's nothing left. We live in a culture where everybody wants access to you. Your phone rings, your notifications ping, people pull at your time, your job demands your energy, family pulls on your emotions. And the truth is, if you don't decide who gets access, everybody gets access. And when everybody has access, you lose yourself. Let me tell you, not everyone deserves your energy. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every call needs to be answered. And not every invitation is meant to be accepted. Protecting your peace doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care about yourself enough to filter what you allow into your life. Think about it psychologically. Human attention is like a muscle. You can only lift so much before it breaks down. Every conversation, every argument, every environment you step into, it's all pulling from the same pool of energy. And here's the danger. When you spend too much of that energy on negativity, gossip, drama, and things that don't serve you, you're bankrupt. When it comes time to invest in your own growth, that's why some of you feel tired all the time, even when you haven't done anything physically exhausting. It's because your spirit is drained. It's because let people occupy mental real estate in your head that they never paid rent for. You're walking around with the weight of everybody else's chaos on your back. That is not peace. That is prison. Protecting your peace means you've got to make hard choices. Sometimes it means saying no to people you love because their energy is toxic and their presence brings you down. Sometimes it means walking away from opportunities that look good on paper, but rob you of joy in practice. And sometimes it simply means creating quiet in your life, turning off the noise, putting down the phone, giving your mind room to breathe. Philosophically, this has been talked about for centuries. The Stoic philosopher Steinin of Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That's about peace. Peace isn't the absence of problems. It's the control of your response. And you can't control your response if you're running on empty space. You need space, you need stillness. You need the discipline to say, not everything deserves my energy. Let's make this practical. Think about a smartphone. If you leave every app running in the background, if you give access to every notification, what happens? Battery dies before noon. That's exactly what some of us are doing with our lives. We've got too many apps open, too many people, too many distractions, too many obligations pulling power. And then we wonder why we're drained. Protecting your peace is like learning to close those apps, saying, this one doesn't need my attention. That one can wait. This one gets deleted altogether. Now, I'm not saying cut everybody off and live like a hermit. No. What I'm saying is become intentional about who and what gets to share your energy. Because once you give it away, you don't get it back. That's why your peace is priceless. That's why your energy is sacred. And you've got to treat it that way. I'll tell you something powerful, weakest. When you start protecting your peace, people will notice. And not everybody's going to like it. Because the truth is, Some people only liked you when you were tired, when you were overextended, when you were available to their every demand. The moment you set boundaries, the moment you say, I can't do that, some folks are going to get upset. But let me remind you, their reaction is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is your peace. And here's the beauty. Once you protect it, your energy changes. You stop waking up dreading the day. You stop dragging yourself through obligations. You swing. You start showing up to the right places with the right people, and you show up whole. You show up joyful. You show up powerful. That's the difference between living drained and living fulfilled. So I want you to really reflect on this. Who are you giving your energy to that doesn't deserve it? What situations are you stepping into that cost you peace every single time? What would your life look like if you stopped pouring into things that only leave you empty and started investing in what actually brings you strength? Protect your peace. Guard your energy. Not because you don't care about others, but because you finally care enough about yourself. And here's the truth I want you to carry. Peace is not something you find, something you protect. When you protect it, your whole life changes. Now, once you understand that prioritizing yourself is not selfish, and once you learn how to protect your peace and your energy, the next natural step is this: you have to invest in your own growth. Because what's the point of guarding your time and creating space if you don't use it to build yourself into the person you're meant to be? See, growth doesn't happen by accident. Nobody wakes up successful by chance. Nobody stumbles into wisdom or health or financial freedom or inner strength. Growth is intentional. Growth is a choice. And if you don't choose it, the world will choose for you. And trust me, the world doesn't always choose what's best for you. Here's the reality. Nobody else is responsible for your future. Not your parents, not your boss, not your friends, not the government. You. You are the one who decides what you become. And when you spend your life waiting for somebody else to hand you opportunities, waiting for somebody else to fix your problems, waiting for somebody else to make you happy, you're giving away your power. Growth begins the moment you take it back. Psychologically, human beings are wired for progress. When you stop growing, you stop thriving. That's why even when people reach a certain level of success, if they don't keep pushing forward, they get restless, they feel empty, they start self-destructing. It's because the human spirit craves expansion. We are not built to stay the same. We are built to evolve. And philosophically is what life is really about. The great thinker Socrates said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." That's not just about reflection. It's about growth. It's about asking yourself daily, am I moving forward? Am I wiser than I was yesterday? Am I building something that outlasts me? Growth is the evidence that you're truly alive. Now let's bring it down to earth. Investing in your growth means making deliberate choices every day. It means picking up a book instead of the remote. It means spending time with people who challenge your mind instead of people who only feed your comfort zone. It means taking care of your health, because a weak body carries a strong vision. It means saving and investing your money instead of wasting it trying to impress people who don't even care. And yes, it means making sacrifices. You cannot grow and stay comfortable at the same time. Comfort is the enemy of growth. Comfort says, stay right here, don't stretch, don't risk, don't try. But growth says, step out, be willing to fail, be willing to learn, be willing to push past what you thought was possible. Every great breakthrough in history came from someone who chose growth over comfort. Now, some people will say, but I don't have time. I don't have the money. I don't have the support. Let me tell you something. You don't need perfect conditions to start growing. You don't need $1 million. You don't need $1 million. You don't need everybody clapping for you. You don't need a blueprint handed to you. What you need is commitment. You need discipline. You need the decision that says, no matter what, I'm going to get better. Think of it like planting a seed. You don't stand over it saying, why isn't it a tree yet? You water it, you protect it, you give it light, you nurture it. That's growth. You may not see the results tomorrow, but if you stay consistent, one day you look back and realize you've become stronger, wiser, more capable than you ever thought you could be. And here's the most beautiful part. When you invest in your own growth, everybody else benefits too. Your family gets a better version of you. Your career or business grows because you're sharper, more disciplined, more innovative. Your relationships deepen because you have more wisdom and patience to bring to them. See, growth is not selfish. It's the most generous thing you can do. Because when you rise, you lift everyone around you. So, I want you to start asking yourself, where do I need to grow? Is it in my health, my finances, my relationships, my purpose? Don't try to fix everything at once. Pick one area and start there. Give yourself permission to learn, to fail, to try again. Growth is not about being perfect. Growth is about being better than you were yesterday. Remember, life will test you. Challenges will come. But if you've invested in your growth, those challenges don't break you. They build you. Every storm becomes a lesson. Every setback becomes a setup. And every failure becomes fertilizer for your future success. So don't waste your time waiting for things to change on their own. Don't waste your peace on distractions. Don't waste your energy, people who drain you. Use that time, that peace, that energy to build yourself. Because at the end of the day, the greatest investment you will ever make, the one with the highest return, is the investment you make in you. And I'll leave you with this: if you stop growing, you stop living. But if you commit to growth, there's no limit to who you can become.